a sense of community when you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's show. Well, my guest today is an actor as well as a producer in the film industry. Ladies and gentlemen, Dean, is it Aylesworth?
You said it correctly.
All right. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hi, Nancy.
Hello. And now I know originally you're from Calgary, correct?
Yes, that's not my fault. I was just born there, but yeah, Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
Hey, listen, I was born in New Brunswick, so I get it.
Not your fault. Yeah.
No, exactly, right? So when did you come to British Columbia, to Vancouver, by the way?
I was well, there's a wonderful varied amounts of what the story I want to share. I was kicked out of my house at a kind of an early age, in and out, and I already decided that I wanted to be an actor when I was really young. Mm-hmm. So coming to Vancouver was the sort of going to the Mecca, going to the place where things were happening, where the actual Hollywood movies were being shot here, and 21 Jump Street was being shot here, and all that. So this is during the time of that era, the early 90s, the late 80s. Yeah, my very first professional gig was in 1988. Oh. And that's when that summer I decided to move to Vancouver, and I arrived here on January 21st, 1989. Very
good. So what was your first role, your first gig?
My very first gig was I was helping with a production in a fringe festival in Edmonton, and I was if either one of the actors had gotten sick or hurt or weren't, I was sort of on the standby, so I had to memorize their lines and be ready to step in. Of course, I was quite young and very scared, and it turned out that both of the leads were happily safe and sound, and they gave a great performance. So I kind of became a stagehand in that, just helping, and yeah.
So, but now you're still acting. Is it acting is in film now?
Yeah, acting in film and television still. Yeah, but mostly looking towards film. That's certainly my heart's desire.
Quite a difference, right, from stage to on camera.
Gigantic difference. And Nancy, when I first started out, I didn't have, I'm a Alberta kid, not living on almost the streets, and I have no money for an education. So what I decided that I wanted and needed to do was, because I had experience on the theater, I knew the boards, and at 17, what do you know anyhow? You're still learning everything. Right. But I didn't know the acting techniques for television, how to get to your mark without looking down and going, am I on my mark? Without all of those sort of things. And I had the greatest education anyone could ever have. Is I went and worked as an extra and learned how to do it from some of the pros by watching and trying not to talk too much and just absorbing everything.
The best way to learn, I think, eh?
I think so too. Yeah. I enjoyed it so much, and I called it the University of Hard Knocks. You just kind of keep on keeping. Yeah, and I made money instead of spent money on my education.
That's always a bonus for sure. Yeah. So when did you first I was going to ask, so would we know anything that you've been acting in?
Would you know anything that I've been acting in lately or in the past?
Throughout your career.
You might. Yeah, it depends on what you've seen. I'd say the very first thing that I ever did, as far as television was concerned, was something that's just total off the grid. I don't think anyone's ever really seen it. But it was a live performance for a television show that was a series where there was a doctor, and this doctor was a legitimate doctor, and he would bring in actors, people with some of his clients, his former clients. Issues. And mine was, I went in and ad-libbed sort of an angsty teenager with the sort of long hair that I have right now. I had it, and I was playing this drummer, and it was called oh, it was Dr. Don Dutton. I couldn't tell you what the name of the series was, and we had a whole half-hour feature. Each one was usually a 15-minute segment,
Mhm.
and we whole feature half hour. So that was my first initiation, and I was really I felt quite welcome. Yeah,
That sounds
yeah,
exciting, actually. Yeah.
yeah. But since then, I had well, the wonderful opportunity of working on here in Vancouver. My very first guest star role was on a television show called Neon Rider. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of our Canadian casts that have been in many sci-fi and of course, you know, dramatic, and you know, we shoot everything here. Really, it's quite great. The comedies and everything, and most of the alumni have been through that sort of that, having been a part of that, because it was Vancouver, and then I pursued. A lot of auditions, a lot of other things, you know. Once again, some more hard knocks, but I was blessed with a role on a television series called The X-Files.
Oh, I
And
loved that show. That was so cool.
oh, you did, Nancy.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
well, I might be recognized by you as Mulder's father. Fox Mulder was my son. I played
Okay.
young Bill Mulder.
I don't
Yeah,
remember that episode, but I'll have to look it up. Because I'm sure I've seen it. I'm pretty sure I saw every episode.
yeah. Well, I was in season 4 and 5,
Okay.
and I appeared 3 different times, and in the one that I was most featured is an episode called Travelers, and that's in season 5.
Okay, great. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's so much fun. Yeah. So now you're also producing.
Yes, ma'am.
What made you decide to start producing?
The lack of roles. I'm just kidding. It's like I was having a discussion with someone I care about very deeply, and I thought about that exact question that you just asked, and it was just for this reason, that to convince somebody that I'm the proper part, proper actor in
Yeah.
that role, is once again, it's a privilege. I feel as if you know, we get our little acting shoes on, and we put our stuff on, and doing that audition is gratifying. Getting the role, even more gratifying. Playing the role, truly fulfilling. But how to get that role without all the angst and all that heartache and all that stuff? um I just I went straight at it, and I said, okay, well, I'm going to cast myself in the things that I believe that I can do, and then I'm going to put my money where my mouth is,
Yeah.
and I'm going to, you know, and support my community as well in casting the other people that, you know. And it's not about people who haven't been cast. It's about casting the people that are that need to be seen, that need to shine, that need to in these roles. Yeah.
Right. Because I know I used to, you know, I had in the past tried a little, gone for auditions, and you know, it is, I mean, coming from Chilliwack down into Vancouver, everything unfortunately is in Vancouver, but you know, by the time you get there, you're so stressed out, it's hard to even concentrate, right?
Right.
So anyway, it's nice. It would be nice to see somebody like you doing what you're doing, because it would help a lot of people, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, and it's a tight-knit community. If, you know, I don't think we would stay in it, Nancy, if we didn't love it, even with all the good and the bad.
Yeah.
But love it, right? Because I mean, the deepest thing inside of me is that I touch the audience with a feeling, that I ignite in them some sort of something, and that's my greatest wish as a performer, as a producer, as a writer, and as a creative in any way. And I think even if I was to paint a picture, I would love to have a reaction, right? And so that's the motive, and when I get that, I feel pretty great.
I'm just wondering, like, I think the actor strike is still on, is it?
Yes, in America, yeah, through the Screen Actors Guild, and in support of the Writers Guild of America.
Right.
Here in Canada, we have the Writers Guild of Canada, and we have ACTRA, and in my region, UBCP. These are united unions, and they aren't on strike, but we are indeed in support of what the issues are.
Mhm.
But as we all are, we all have to eat. The rent comes due every month,
Yes, and the rent is getting a lot more expensive.
isn't it? Yeah. But we're dealing with the issues of residuals, and us getting paid for our performances and whatnot, instead of the producers continually being so much more paid.
Right.
Just a certain amount of equilibrium, if you will. I don't know if that'll ever be achieved. And then the other issue, of course, is AI, and another real concern when we think of background players being recorded and then computerly it's not even the right word, but digitally reproduced in other productions. So that, yeah, so their likeness and everything is then becomes the production companies. At least that's what the speculation is, and we don't wish to have that be part of our industry, because it's what
Yeah.
it does. It really, in the end, it might take a year, it might take 2 years, but we will be without human background extras, if that's in fact something that, and that's not something I certainly support, just based on what I've tried to share with you as my history, and how to go about it. I would have been completely lost had I not been able to understand how a set worked, what the etiquette was, what the music is when it's, I know it's silent and it's weird and it's sort of a strange little thing to say, but we are in a big dance when we're creating,
Mm.
right? And some of us are singing and some of us are playing a violin, each of us the instruments of that dance, right? And so that music's happening when it's going on, and the background players are a great chorus in that, and they're valuable
Right.
and shouldn't be put in, some place of extinction.
And that's becoming a big concern, not only in your industry, right? It's happening with a lot of things, because apparently they can, like, say, reproduce either one of us, like our voice and our face, and say whatever they want, which words we would not say, things we would not say. And I think, well, no, we have to make sure
Right.
we get this stopped. That's for sure.
And then there's so many horrible things that could be said about each other and or on our parts, that where we're also in a place of, and I wouldn't call it a culture, but we're in a place of a society that is saying, hey, look, we'll cancel you for something that is just really anything. But the one thing that gets me is racism. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
If I was to share anything that was atypically racist, I that would be just horrible to me, because I am of mixed blood, and my indigenous heritage is something very dear to me, but also my white heritage, also my Scottish heritage. I have affinity for that as well.
Mhm.
But I can't say that that's an overall thing for everyone. There certainly is this purveyance of racism and bias that I haven't seen really in my lifetime.
I know, it's just unreal now. Like, I understand where you're coming from. I have an auntie by marriage who was First Nation. She passed away, but and my brothers, we always felt that we were special because
You are?
auntie was and First Nations, right?
Oh, you are.
Yeah, somehow that made us special, and I to this day I believe that wholeheartedly. But basically, our background at the same time is mostly from France. So I love that mixture again, like and I think we should all embrace that for everybody.
Yes.
Unlike,
Shine in our lights. Yeah, exactly. And there's always been so much shame and so much, because we've been condemned as human beings, all of us, by authority figures, by things that we've given our own power to in fact condemn us. And when we support each other for just who we are, when we're a community of human beings rather than segmented cultures or segmented races, we're in much better shape. We have so much more in common than we have that separates us. Let's talk about that. Let's create things that celebrate that. Let's shine.
yes. And let's stop worrying about the little things when we got a planet that we're destroying, in our wake, right?
Well, and that right there is the thing, right? It's just like I was talking about the music and the song, it's the harmony. The idea of living with Mother Earth instead of on her, right? Or digging her up every 5 seconds to try and get something that we can benefit. She's already provided in so many other ways. It's a matter of that, but there's a certain, and I spoke of it again earlier, but there's a certain reverence that isn't given, for on Mother Earth, for the caretakers of Mother Earth, and people, I don't know, maybe it's just common nature, maybe it's just human nature that we want to make somebody lesser than, or put them in a place of where we can understand them, because just like you said, we're magical, each of us.
Yes.
Especially ones who have a plethora of cultures within their bloodlines, right? Because then it's within their genetic code to have these things that come out of you. It's like when you trust your instinct and you go, okay, tell you what, I'm just going to fly by the seat of my pants, and here's some instinct, which is exactly what I'm doing here and sharing with you here, is that I don't know what I'm going to say. Do you know what I mean? I just know that it's coming from within my soul, my heart, and not from some manufactured, script that I've, but I have in fact had previous conversations about these things. And so, it's still very much at this.
Right. This is exactly why I do the interviews without a list of questions prepared.
Yay, Nancy.
It just, my opinion, flows so much better, right? And it comes more from the heart than anywhere else. So it's like, you never know where the conversations are going to end.
No, and we can always edit that, right? We can.
Oh no! Oh, don't ask me to edit. No, that's stressful. I can edit.
No kidding, right? Stress. Like the name of your podcast, Small Talk. I see that sign behind you. That's what the name of it is.
Yeah,
cool.
That's because I'm short, and they're short. They're small, short interviews. So it's like a tongue-in-cheek sort of thing, right?
That's cute, Nancy. Yeah. Now, I was there over in it was not PEI.
Yeah.
But it was just 2 years ago, before COVID. 3 years before COVID, I had a chance to go over there, but it was Nova Scotia, and I was very, very pleased to be. I've never been any further east than Winnipeg, so it was kind of an interesting thing. Yeah, as far as Canada is concerned. Yeah.
It's kind of interesting, because like I was born in New Brunswick, I grew up in Quebec, and I raised my children in Ontario, came out of here, and it's so interesting. Like you see the people down east in the maritime provinces, they're just they're a very open, welcoming type of people. This is experience. And then in Quebec was very like, they knew how to have parties like nobody else,
I've heard.
Yes, like there was, like I grew up in Ville Saint Laurent, which is off on the West Island of Montreal, and as a teenager there was always a place to go dancing. We loved that. I grew up in the year of the 60s, so we went to a place called the Jail. We go dances behind bars and stuff. It was so much fun. Ontario wasn't, for me, quite as friendly. It took a longer time to feel that I fit in there,
Ontario, yeah.
And then coming out here to BC, it's more like back east again. It's more that friendlier, more open, or maybe it's just because of where I am. I'm not sure.
That's lovely. Yeah, it's lovely that you feel that way and that you see that. Yes, I believe that BC is really welcoming. And having been born and raised in Alberta, and coming here, this is my adopted province. But and then also being Métis, my other Manitoba is my the fatherland, if you will. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Very good. Very, very good. Yeah. So now we've got off the track about your career. I just want to go back to it for just a little bit, because I want to know what are you working on, or if you have anything in the works currently?
I have so much in the works. It's crazy. I'm almost falling off my chair. Yeah, I'm working on a whole bunch of things that are really true to my heart, and as a producer, as a writer, and I'll be starring in a couple of those projects as well.
Nice.
They're all organized, set, and placed in timelines, ready to go for at least the next. And I've been speculating it, but at least for the next 10 years, I have projects lined up. And now it's a matter of making sure that each and every one is financed and then appropriately pitched and driven. And so, in all of that, I just said, look, yes, I always said, Nancy, I'm just an actor, and there's much more to me than just that.
Yeah.
I am an entrepreneur, but I also I like to give due respect when it's due. You know what I mean? When someone deserves it, and when I see that in a conglomerate of people that are going, okay, we have the same vision. This is what we're all going for. We'll take our place in it, and then literally find partnership and then move forward. And that's exactly what I did. And I don't know how I did that, but I found like-minded people with heart and soul who were committed and driven. And one of my closest and dearest friends is also quite a famous actor. His name is Nathaniel Arcand, and he's decided to come on board and work with me as a producer and actor as well.
Nice.
And that is so very exciting, because, like I said, it's a plethora of things that are going to be lasting for at least 10 years. I can say things like, because some of them we don't have, I don't have the copyrights to, so I can't really speak of.
Okay.
But some of them I do. There's one project called White Raven. It's a feature film. We're looking at a larger budget here than in Canada than we're most used to. And we'll be bringing some of our Indigenous stars from around the world, not just from Canada,
Nice.
to make this thing a big hit. It's a suspense thriller about some Indigenous people that have gone through things that even as in modern day Indigenous, so a third generation from the residential. Well,
Yeah.
you can't even say that, can you? Because like it's not. There's no. That was 1993. The last residential school was open, right? So there's not any generations that are between that. But yes, so this story is kind of this suspenseful, wonderful delight. I starred in the play of it when I was attending a school called Spirit Song, which is quite an austere school here in British Columbia and even in Canada. Yeah. So we developed that script, and it's become this feature film. So that's the first on the block. And then once again, I mentioned my Indigenous Métis heritage, and I in fact am related to Louis Riel. We're first cousins, 3 generations removed, and that's a story that I'm born to tell. You know, it's and that's going to happen regardless of if I star in it or not. But that's a lifelong goal that I've had, and was inspired by my uncle who passed just recently of that story. He wanted me very much to tell it and to make it clear to the rest of the world, not just Canada, and to clear up a little bit of the historic kind of, you know, the conquerors always tell the history, right?
Yes, they write the history. Absolutely.
It's not the right one. Yeah. So
yeah, absolutely.
And we're just trying to bring that to light, to bring the fact that he was the father of Canadian Confederacy together, that he wasn't in fact a traitor, that he protected and loved his people and led them to a place of where now, even 200 years later, we're still here. So I think he did his job, right? And I don't think he should be branded traitor.
I agree with you. That sounds awesome. We're going to run out of time, and Zoom's going to cut me off, so I don't want that to happen. But I just want to remind everybody that you've been listening to, this is Dean Aylesworth. Sorry, Dean, sometimes I go blank.
The little vowel there that you put in. I like that. Yeah.
He's an actor and a producer, and you're going to hear a lot more about him because I'm going to ask him to come back on the show when he has some more things that are coming up current, that are more current with you, Dean. If you would do that, that would be really great. So I'm sorry I have to end it here, but that's what it's called, small talk.
Well, I'm privileged to have been here. Thank you so much, Nancy, for your consideration and your time, and thank everyone for listening and watching. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. So stay on the camera for a second. So everybody, thank you for watching this show. I hope you subscribe. It's always nice. You don't have to, and sharing and like is nice too. But do whatever. Anyway, take care, everybody, and peace out.
A sense of community, Chilliwack's a place to be. A sense of community where you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me. It's multicultural, you're sure to see it all. Chilliwack's a place to be, you'll see. Come party in the park, go dancing after dark. Chilliwack's a place to be, you'll see.